The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
WZWA Sports. It's in the game.
G'day everyone, you're back here on the WZWA Network with your boy Hogsley for a very special review, and that is the AFL Grand Final 2023. Now, I know a lot of our fans out there, you're not Aussie boys and girls like myself, like the rest of this network. So if you didn't know, the AFL is our national sport, and the Grand Final is basically its Super Bowl. This is Australia's Super Bowl, okay? It's the biggest sporting event of the year here in Australia. We just packed a stadium with 100,000 people to watch this Grand Final. So I'm very, very excited to run through what happened here today with you all. And I'm hoping by the end of it, you come away wanting to watch a bit more of the sport, because this is an incredible sport, everyone. I don't understand how this doesn't have a more worldwide appeal. I mean, a lot of sports now, they're international, but AFL is still one of the few sports out there that's really only played by one country. So hopefully you all check out the highlights at least, because this was an absolute cracker of a game. I mean, I love the sport, obviously. But sometimes your grand finals, they can be kind of boring. And I don't want you to go out and watch a boring game, because it's going to sour you on what the product can be. And this was far from a bad game. This was an absolute gem, a classic, a cracker, probably one of the best grand finals that we've seen in years, probably since 2018. And I'm biased because my team won that one. So let's crack into it. I apologize if I'm repeating myself or slurring. Like I said, it's our Super Bowl. So I've had many, many a cold beer today. In fact, I'm having one now. So let's get started. The two teams we had in this are Collingwood and Brisbane. Now, a bit of backstory on the AFL. It's got a very, very rich history. This was the 125th Grand Final, I do believe. But for much of the rich history of the sport, it was played only out of Victoria here in Australia, and it was known as the VFL. And then once other states were added, it became the AFL. Now, because it's always had that origin in Victoria, you'll always have what people call the Vic bias, how they always want Victorian teams to win. So Collingwood, they're one of the early teams. They're from Victoria. They've been around since 1890 or something ridiculous. Brisbane Lions were a Victorian team. I believe they were Fitzroy. And now they're out of Brisbane, which is in Queensland. So we had two teams on the East Coast vying for it. The way the playoffs work in AFL, it's all knockout rounds. There's no series, best of, much like your NFL. You win, you're through, you lose, you're out. So winner takes all, biggest game of the year. And like I said, it's a cracker. I want to crack through this chronologically like I normally do. So I'm going to give it my best, but it's really going to come down to the last quarter where this game sort of takes shape and what I've got to talk about. So the start of the game was, it was toit. That was a toit start to the game, all right? None's buttholes are not as tight as this start, because it was just, the nerves, it's a big game, the animosity between these players. I mean, this is what I love about the sport and what I think you all will enjoy watching it. It is just a rough as guts sport, all right? It is just, you're on the ground, you've got about 12 other men on top of you, you're getting kneed, shouldered, elbowed, people are pushing. You can just push someone away from you as long as it's not on the back. I mean, there was no love lost between these two teams here today, and it definitely showed in the early parts of the game. It just, inside 50s for both teams, just weren't converting into scores. And then Collingwood just found their rhythm just so early on in this game, and they pulled away a 2-goal lead. I mean, Collingwood overall played the better game, okay? As I'm going to keep going through, this game was tight the entire way through. I think there was only like a goal lead at halftime. The margin only came down to a 4-point win in the end for Collingwood. So like I said, just a very, very close game. But Collingwood just played the better game, and that started in the first quarter. Their centre clearances was just phenomenal, okay? Nick Dykos, I believe it was, with 29 disposals coming out of midfield like that. just the way they were able to create these scoring opportunities throughout the game was just incredible. They were just playing smarter footy, okay? They were just playing very, very clever footy out there today. And the way they did that, and what I mean by clever footy, because you probably haven't seen the game and don't know much about the sport, but they were finding men, open men on the field and kicking it to them, which, that just sounds like, why wouldn't you play like that? But that's what I mean, that some teams don't. Some teams prefer to just bomb it down the field for contested marks, contested possessions, and just try and create ground this way. Collingwood, on the other hand, were doing short little kicks, finding open guys, and just carefully, slowly working their way down the field, finding a man inside their 50, marking and just scoring some easy goals. I mean, some of these goals, oh man, these were beauties. I mean, you go watch the highlights. Everyone watch the highlights, because some of these goals, what pro athletes can do is just incredible. And they were some beauties tonight. And so, yeah, do this clever footy. Collingwood pull out this 2-goal lead. And then the Lions start coming back. I mean, Collingwood was still playing the better game, but they weren't converting their scoring opportunities into goals. They scored 18 behinds. Now, as I keep doing this review, I feel like I've got to keep explaining to myself. Might make for a long review, but I got scoring system in AFL, if you didn't know. You've got 4 posts. You've got like little one, big one, little one, okay? If you kick the ball between the 2 big ones, that's a goal, that's 6 points. If you kick the goal between a little one and a big one, so the posts either side of the big ones, that's behind. That's worth 1 point, okay? So obviously you want to get it through the big posts. I know that's probably simplifying it, but that's how it works. That's how we score our game here in Australia. So at the end of the game, Collingwood had 18 behind. So they had a possible 18 more goals in them if they could get it between the big posts and not the big and little post. So that's how Brisbane Lions stayed in this game, because Brisbane only scored about 4 behinds to 10 goals, okay? So when it came down to it, when they had opportunities to put the ball through the post, Brisbane Lions were just a lot more accurate, but Collingwood just had a lot more chances at it. And like in any sport, any sport, the more chances you've got to score, the better the chance you're going to end up winning and scoring more points, because you've just had more cracks at it. So that's just how the game played out. I mean, the first quarter ended, I can't remember the margins here. I should have written it all down. Like I said, I was drinking, I was enjoying myself, I was having lunch with my family. But yeah, that was just basically the story of the game. So yeah, just back and forth. You had Collingwood just playing the smarter footy, working way upfield, and then Brisbane Lions would just go on little runs of themselves, and then Collingwood go back on a run themselves. I mean, I think we had the end of the quarter. We had an absolute beaut by Collingwood, who marked the ball and kicked a 55-meter bomb right through the goalpost. I can't remember who that was, but that was an accurate kick. I mean, 55 meters is a hell of a kick, everyone. Okay, once you're outside that 50, that's all those kicks are bombs. Those are downtown shots, okay? And they're not easy to do, okay? I mean, a lot of people can kick 55 meters, but to kick with accuracy, that's hard, okay? It's hard, and yeah, that was a fucking cracker of a goal. And then end up taking a 2-goal lead of their own to end the quarter. So yeah, I do have some margins here. But then we start the second quarter, and Brisbane Lions go on their own little run and pick up the lead and score a couple of great breakaway goals. So you had Lions back up in front. And the Lions, I think by this point I thought, man, these guys are gaining momentum. They've found their rhythm now. They're still bombing it downfield. They're still not playing the clever game of footy. One of the stats here, which I just thought was incredible. By the time they had 8 goals, I think it was, they hadn't had a mark inside their 50. So a mark is a catch. And if the ball is kicked off the boot and goes at least 15 meters in the air and you catch it, it's paid as a mark. Now, what that means is play stops and you can just take your time, well, not all the time in the world, and just take a set shot from where you've marked it. Okay, so obviously you want to mark it inside your 50 because then everyone else just sort of has to back away and you get a shot at the goal. So to score that many goals without marking inside the 50 means all these goals came from just rugged, scrappy little plays, just bombing it downfield into a crowd. Brisbane Lions player would just grab it, turn around, kick an absolute beauty. So yeah, just that was incredible. The fact that they hadn't picked up a mark inside their 50 until like over halftime was just, once again, just goes to show what type of game I'm talking about here, with just the differences in plays between the two teams. So we're going in towards the end of the half here and the end of the second quarter. And this is when I want to start giving my praise to a very, very talented man, and that's Bobby Hill, okay? Well, that boy ain't right, because he is so fucking good. My God, he ends up picking up the MVP of the match, which we call the Norm Smith medalist. Okay, best and fairest, or whatever you want to call it in your sport, but he wins. It was NBA. He won the finals MVP. And by the time halftime, he had 4 goals of his own, and that's a lot. I mean, like I said, I don't know how much you know about the sport, but 4 goals is just a lot, especially before half. And some of the ways he was creating these opportunities at goal was just incredible. He has an absolute, I used to call it a specky back when I was growing up. It's a mark when you can take it off someone's back, which is just to show how brutal the sport is. You can just knee someone in the back as long as you're jumping for the ball. So he makes the play at the mark. He jumps up, knee right on someone's shoulder, gets the extra elevation, catches it, fumbles it, grabs it with one hand, puts it back, fumbles it again, and then brings it to his chest. They pay the mark and kicks his 3rd goal of the game. I mean, that was a great mark. That was a fantastic mark. I mean, those are the highlight plays in footy. Good goals from like odd angles and stuff like that. But the number one sort of highlight plays are those marks. That's the exciting stuff, when you can get up and catch the ball at that elevation. I mean, when you think about it, some of these guys are like almost 2 meters tall. If you've got your knees on their shoulders and you're extending up, I mean, what are you, fucking 3.5 meters in the air? That's a long way down. They're always great to watch. So yeah, just playing an incredible game of footy, Bobby Hill is. And why I'm going to praise him is because he wasn't, you obviously want to win Norm Smith, and that's obviously what he's done. But he wasn't just playing for himself out there. He was playing for the team. He plays for Collingwood. I really should mention more names. I'm doing this, sorry. He plays for Collingwood. And he had an opportunity at his 5th goal before halftime, I think it was, or at the start of the 3rd. And he's marked it again. He's inside his 50. He's got a very difficult shot, a very tight angle at goal, but he's already kicked 4 goals in the night. Why not? Why not go for 5? But he doesn't. He sets up his shot, finds an open player for Collingwood, Pendlebury, who has a cleaner angle, drop punts it to him. He marks it. And he's got a better shot at goal, which he does kick. That is a team player right there. He was not playing for himself. He saw a better opportunity for the team to score, and he did that. So, I mean, just incredible smart footy, very selfless. It was just a joy to watch someone of his talent out there on the field tonight. So I don't really have much notes on the 3rd. That's kind of when I was eating my lunch. We started at halftime. So the game sort of just continued. The game was still just tight, real close. That's right. To end the second, they had another 55-meter bombed at the end of the quarter. Collingwood did. So we enter the 3rd. Stays pretty tight throughout it. And now we enter the 4th, which is where I really want to sort of talk about stuff, and where the game, for such a good game, ends up being somewhat tainted. It depends how you look at it, but I believe it's tainted a little bit, just a tad, just a small bit. So we enter the 4th. Once again, it's just tight as both teams just exchanging leads. There's only like a 2 or 4 point difference at any given time between each team. And then Charlie for the Brisbane Lions, he just on a hell of a contested possession towards the end of the game, kicks an absolute beauty of a goal. And he puts the Lions up 2. And now we're talking like there's maybe less than 5 minutes left in this game. It's anyone's game, but Brisbane Lions have been given a late lead. The crowd is just going absolutely ham. They're going just crazy because this is just a phenomenal game. And then to go for Collingwood, he gets the lead back with just another long goal. I mean, the long bombs by Collingwood tonight were just incredible. And then here's where it just gets a bit I mean, I talked about how the sport has this big bias, and this is where you see it, because there were some very, very debatable calls going Collingwood's way. I mean, if you look at the stat sheet, there were more free kicks towards the Brisbane Lions, but not for every free kick is created equal. And not every penalty is created equal. And when it meant the most, the free kicks and the penalties just went Collingwood's way, especially late in the game, because you had... I'm going to have to explain the sport rules again. So if you mark the ball and you're saying, and you don't move, because if you move, the umpire calls play on and everyone, play continues. But if you mark it and don't show that you're going to play on, everyone needs to give you that space and you take your set shot. Now, if you don't get given the space, the umpire can call a 50-meter penalty. So you just get to pick up the ball and walk 50 meters downfield and then take your set shot from there. Okay? 50 meters, I mean, that's a quarter of the field, basically. All right? That's imagine that in NFL. All right? Imagine instead of a 5-meter or penalty or whatever it is, you get given 25 meters or 25 yards, whatever the fucking distances are. But you know what I mean? All right? Instead of 5, you get 25. That's a lot. It's a lot to be given. All right? And this was a very debatable 50-meter penalty that goes Steele Sidebottom's way for Collingwood. And first of all, how great is that name? Steele Sidebottom. Phenomenal. So he marks the ball, and as a Brisbane Lions player, he's not gone and tackled him after he's marked it, or he's not just run up and pushed him after he's marked it. He's making a play on the ball himself. He's trying to go for his own mark. Sidebottom marks it, sort of falls over, and the Brisbane Lions sort of falls with him, okay? And the 50-meter penalty was paid, which was ridiculous. You haven't even given the chance for the Brisbane Lions player to stand up and move back, okay? They're both falling on the ground after both making a play on the contested mark. So the umps give Sidebottom the 50-meter penalty, and he kicks the bloody goal, okay? So he extends their lead out to 10 points, and then we've got 2 minutes left. And you could hear it. The crowd weren't liking that. I mean, Magpies fans were loving it, but that shit shouldn't happen. Let the game play out naturally. I mean, I've avoided talking about the umpires, but overall, I didn't think they umped a very good game. I mean, the sport is brutal. It's ferocious. I love it, but it's become a lot softer over the years. I mean, well, I don't want to say it because I want you all to watch it. But the game has become so soft. I get protecting the players, but some of the shit now. I mean, they pay free kicks for everything these days, okay? If you get tackled with the ball in your hand, free kick, okay? If you get tackled and lose the ball, incorrect disposal, free kick. You know, it's just... Back when I used to watch it more religiously, I don't watch it as much now. Because I watch so many other sports, and I only really watch West Coast Eagles games. But back when I was growing up, it was the only sport on TV, so I'd watch all the bloody games. You could get away with anything. I mean, you bulldoze people over every bloody game. The umps would just sit on their thumbs, just be like, yeah, whatever. That was a lot more of an enjoyable product, but the game's become so soft. But yeah, they were just paying so many free kicks the entire game. I mean, just any stop and play just ruins any sport, in my opinion. So we had that very debatable 50-meter penalty go the way of Sidebottom. He kicks the goal. And then you had Brisbane Lions. I've got 2 minutes left, down by 10. I mean, that's anyone's game still. I mean, if you're scoring 6 points per goal, that's only a 2-possession game. And the goals can be scored really quickly, okay? After each goal, the ball goes back to centre field for a centre bounce, and it could be anyone's ball, okay? All you're going to do is tap it out to one of your players, okay? It's kind of like NBA. You know, when the NBA throw it up, you tap it. After each goal, you do the same sort of thing. You tap to one of your players. They boot it inside the 50. If someone marks it, they can kick a goal. I mean, goals can be scored within 15 seconds. That's how quickly it just can happen like that. So it's still anyone's game, only down by 2 goals. They have a great kick, just centre kicking. Sorry. Within 30 seconds, like I said, there's been many of these tonight. Brisbane Lions, they find a way to sort of centre the ball off a great kick from inside their 50 on the sidelines. They get it into the middle. They create a great scoring opportunity. And the guy, I mean, this was Oh, this was a tense moment for Brisbane Lions fans because from memory, he didn't take a set shot. He immediately played on after the mark and kicked a goal. There was a Collingwood player right there. I mean, you can just throw yourself in front of the ball. I mean, you can smother the ball like it's NFL and they're doing the field goal, okay? I mean, you can just throw yourself in front of it if you want. So the fact that he didn't take the set shot, he knew there was only like 90 seconds left. There was only 90 seconds left when he kicked this goal. That was a very tense moment. But now we're down to a 4-point game. And this is where it gets fucking not good again because Brisbane Lions had another great opportunity to kick the goal, give themselves a 2-point lead and pick up the win for the grand final. We're just outside their inside 50. A Brisbane Lions player has the ball. He goes for a kick and he gets tackled high. So in AFL, you can tackle someone as long as your arms aren't tackling above their shoulder. So if you've gone for a tackle and you've wrapped around, they'll pay a high. They'll pay a free kick because it's called a high tackle. But unlike other sports, in AFL, there is advantage. So if the umps believe you have advantage, like the ball's still going your way, they won't stop the game play because I think most sports should have this. It gives the other team to set up a defense, get back, man up, all that sort of stuff. So advantage can be a very useful thing. But he's being tackled as he's kicked the ball. So there should have been a free kick. The ball goes straight up in the air and it drops down into about 4 Collingwood players and 4 Brisbane Lions players. And they said, advantage play on. That is so fucked. All right. That's a huge swing right there in the game. Because if that had been called the free kick, they get to do the set shot. He could have tried to go for goal, bomb it away. He could have tried to find an open man and they could have had a shot at goal. This swung the entire result of the grand final because it was paid advantage. And there was absolutely no advantage towards Brisbane Lions. No Brisbane Lions player had clear possession of the ball. They weren't running with the ball. This was a contested possession by both teams, about 8 men, all in the same sort of space. And because of that, Collingwood ended up picking up the ball. All right, so it obviously wasn't an advantage to Brisbane Lions because Collingwood ended up getting the possession. They kick it back down their way, run out the clock, and it ends up being a 4-point win for the for Collingwood. Okay, so it was a cracker of a game. You should watch it, but it really did sort of come down to 2 very controversial calls by the umpires in the end. That 50-meter penalty to side bottom, and that advantage play on when it should have been a free kick to Brisbane Lions. So I feel horrible. If you are watching this and you are a Brisbane Lions fan, I'm sorry the review's probably not been as in-depth. I'm trying to keep it somewhat layman's terms, but God, that's heartbreaking. That is a heartbreaking decision. And if you're a Collingwood fan, I know you're saying up the pies. You're just to me. I get it. You won the grand final. Enjoy yourself. Do enjoy yourself. All right. Okay. Because I've always said a win's a win. You've won it. You didn't just win on those 2 calls. It obviously you did play the better game of footy throughout the night. It's just you just don't want to see this stuff. I mean, win or lose, you don't want anyone to say that you shouldn't have won or you shouldn't have lost. Okay, because it just ruins the moment for the winners, and the losers think, "Fuck, this could have been ours." So this was still a great game of footy. I don't want to let it sour you. Like I said, Bobby Hill, he ends up winning Norm Smith. Okay, he ends up winning the MVP. He played an absolutely incredible game. I don't think he ended up scoring another goal after half, but 4 goals, that's still a lot. He had a couple of great contested marks, kicked a couple behind, so that was just great. I think the only other person that was in consideration, in my opinion, was Dykos. 29 disposals out of the midfield where they created so many opportunities to get goals, get behinds. I think a lot of that was created by him. Brisbane Lions players, I think Danaher was probably a really good player for them tonight. Bit hot and cold at times, but yeah, definitely played really well. I think Frampton for Collingwood, God, he has to be so undeserving of his premiership medal. I mean, what did he do? I mean, he had some poor possessions, but look, I think that's all the names I really remember. Like I said, lots of beers were drunk, lots of laughs were had. I had a good time with family. I hope if any of you out there are Aussie boys, Aussie girls, I hope you've had a great time with your family. I hope you enjoyed the game. If you're one of our many, many American fans of the network, please do go check out the highlights. I've never met an American who hasn't watched a bit of AFL and just been like, what the fuck? This is brutal. And loved it, okay? And I think you all will love it as well. Once you get your head around the rules, they're not too hard to understand. It is an absolute incredible game, and I really wanted to see a bit more of a worldwide appeal. So, look, that has been my 2023 Grand Final wrap-up. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit, and I will see you down the road.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.